Hello everyone, I'm Gian and this is Wales FM Fireside Chat with Artists. In this show, we talk about everything and anything art and crypto and the NFT scene with designers and creators alike, otherwise known as non-fungible tokens. My guest today is Walter Iooss Jr., the Rembrandt of sports photography, who has photographed the most recognized athletes in the sports history, including Muhammad Ali, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Tiger Woods, and hundreds more. Thank you so very much for joining us, Walter. It's an absolute honor and a pleasure to have you here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. It's an honor for me to be a part of this also.
Oh man, you have such a long history, such a long career. So why don't you start by giving us an introduction on how did you got started in photography?
Well, I became interested in photography through my father, who was a hobbyist. And we went to a football game when I was 15, a pro football game, not like soccer football. I took a roll of film, processed it, held the negatives up to the light, and my future was unlocked. I became a photographer at that moment, basically.
Just like that. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe, but it's true.
That's how it took.
That's all it took. Just one look, like a song. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you got obsessed of it like as soon as you tried?
Well, I love sport. Sport was the
Mm-hmm.
only thing I loved. I loved form in sport, and I would photograph my friends playing ball, baseball, football, basketball when I wasn't working. So I became sort of just interested right away. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
when I called Sports Illustrated, I was still in high school. I mean, I remember the phone call calling them when I was like 16, like I'm talking to you. I mean, a gutsy move at 16. Tell them I have a portfolio.
That's crazy. So when it comes to art, I think it tells more clearly what was your evolution than when it comes to photography. And you have a plethora of different styles that you have tried, right? Do you care to explain a little bit more of like how your taste has evolved?
Well, my taste is involved with the types of jobs I had in the beginning, which were basically photographing games. And then I started to get bored with just games. And I started to get assignments where you photograph people. And of course, I've utilized all different types of films, Polaroids. I mean, obviously we're all digital now. But one of the things I missed the most was the use of the Polaroid camera, the 8x10 camera, the 4x5, the 20x24-inch giant Polaroids, which really involved the subject and you as you did them, because each one took a minute to do, or 50 seconds. So
Mm-hmm.
you just evolve over time, and you see light and colors. And I've always been attracted to, as you'll see in some of my pictures, the background is so important to me. I've always said if you have a bad background, you have a bad picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got a job in 1983 in Fujifilm, where I was to document the U.S. athletes training for the 1984 Olympics in Los Angeles. And that opened up everything to me, because all the athletes were at my disposal, and I could control the world's greatest athletes and do anything I wanted with them.
Not everyone get that.
I know. Well, suddenly, you could take the greatest sprinter in the world, and say Carl Lewis or someone. You could build a track, an elevated track, get them at sunset. You could do anything you want, and money wasn't an issue. So,
Mm-hmm.
from those pictures, sort of my world changed. I became much more involved with advertising, and I still work for magazines, but I love baseball and football, and when you look at the picture of the little kid here, which I can see on the screen, little baseball player. I mean, that basically could have been me.
This one here?
Yes, because that's what I did. I dressed up in my baseball uniform, sat in front of a mirror. I always wanted to be a player, but I wasn't that good. So this was a kid who lived in our apartment building in New Jersey. And I mean, that's the boyhood dream. I'm sure you must play soccer, right? You must love soccer.
No, dude. Yeah, I have tried it.
That's what kids dream of. Certainly.
Yeah. For sure.
I just utilized my dream through photography.
So this is the thing that I think it's crazy, the degree, like the sheer admiration for people that is expressed on your pictures, not just of people, but people's feats, like what human can achieve, right, through sports. And just to have, you have so many pictures that people don't necessarily know it was you, but everyone saw them. Right? Like, how does that make you feel?
Well, yeah, well, it makes me feel good, obviously. I've always believed that, you think of so many photographers, so many great photographers. How many images can people name of what they took? I mean, if you really narrow down all my pictures, it comes down to a few images. Obviously, a couple of Jordans, a few football pictures. I mean, I love this picture of the two baseball players in the blue pants in the blue dugout in Los Angeles. But this is once again where you talk about backgrounds. I was possessed with that blue wall. And there was another team, this was in Los Angeles, the baseball stadium. The Philadelphia Phillies played there a few weeks before, and they had blue uniforms, but they weren't the same blue as the dugout. So obviously on an expense account, I went back to Los Angeles and photographed the Cardinals, the St. Louis Cardinals. Take this picture. I mean, you couldn't create a perfect match of colors. The red against the blue.
Yeah, this picture is insane.
And you can see they're completely disinterested in me, which I like.
Yeah, right?
Please get that camera out of my face. Two guys saying.
No, yeah, this is so relaxed. It's just, yeah, I don't know. This picture has some peace to it. That's beautiful.
That's one of my favorites.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And once again, in baseball, I think where I've taken my best pictures of the sport in some ways, nothing's happening. Baseball's a game of a lot of standing around, and most of the photographs I've taken that are really good, there is no action going on. So it's a place you could study the athlete in photographing.
So usually, how many pictures would you take until you get the perfect one that you were looking for in a situation like that?
Not that many. I mean, the picture before and after this was probably bad. And a moment like this doesn't take place that long. I mean, I was just waiting for something to happen.
But then just to be able to capture it on the exact right moment and then get something so special. Like, okay, on this one, okay, they were standing still, but then you grab something like this. Like, can you talk more about the history behind this one?
Well, this is the 1988 slam dunk contest in Chicago with Michael Jordan. The year before, I'd gone to the slam dunk contest, which was held in Seattle, Washington, and lit it with strobes like I did with the slam dunk with Michael. But realized if you can't see the athlete's face when he dunks, the dunk is meaningless. No matter how beautiful a picture might be, no face, it's a bad picture. So I was assigned to go to the '88 slam dunk contest in Chicago on a very cold day, and arrived hours early. And you can see one of my strobes going off up in the picture. To set up the strobes, and Michael was sitting in the front row. Now, I only met Michael maybe 6 months before this. And I said, "Hey, Mike, it's Walter Iooss. How you doing?" "Oh, hey, good seeing you again." And I explained to him that, look, my dilemma was in Seattle. And I said, it's either the dumbest or smartest question. I don't want to say it's the smartest question I've ever asked. Any way you can tell me which way you're going to go. Now, he's either going to say, "Get lost." Yep. He said, "Sure, I can tell you." I said, "How are you going to do that?" He says, "I'm going to put my finger on my knee and I'll point it out." I said, "You're going to remember to do this?" He says, "You watch." So it's all a game. So first dunk, he puts his finger on his knee when he sits on the bench, and we lead up to the last two dunks of the game. So the dunk that preceded this, I was right at the base of the basket. You can see in the background, right? Perfectly lined up. And he landed in my lap. So he went back to the other end of the court where you see the other basket. He looked at me and he just moved his hand, like move over to the left a little. And then the slam dunk took place. With one shot.
Wow.
Throws it home with
crazy.
Yeah, on a perfect square.
Wow. But yeah, I mean, then this one, then you got with his collaboration. He made it possible.
Yeah, he was his form, everything. You think about it. The scoreboard. There's a lot going on here, but it all makes it part of the picture. It's like it's time warp.
No, that's amazing. And how something that you said, like about you got to know him like 6 months, and then asked the question, and you were not sure who would give you a useful answer. How does it feel? How is to have a relationship, even though it's professional, right, with those athletes? Not just any athlete, but rather the greatest of all time in many sports. How does that work?
Well, obviously you need jobs, and I did a lot of advertising jobs with Michael for all his clients. So he trusted me, obviously. He took good pictures, and he could always whittle down the time. All these clients, they wanted, Michael's going to give us 15 dunks. I said, I doubt that. And I told Michael, I said, Michael, they want 15 dunks. He says, Walter, you're good. You can do this in 3. I said, 3? I said, got a whole group of people out here. We can't do this. And then we come up with a number. And whatever it was, we do it. And if we got a 4-hour shoot, we'd be out of there in 2 hours. I think they appreciate that you can get it done in a certain amount of time, and they know they can trust you. So, and then we did a book together in 1993 called Rare Air, where I photographed he and his family, and that became a #1 bestseller. So it was one of those things that happens once in your life. Fortunately.
Oh yeah, I'm just admiring your work.
All right, take your time.
No, it's amazing. I feel like
okay. So this picture, this was the Philly team that preceded the other guy sitting in the dugout. This is not the same team.
Oh, this is not the same team, but
No.
It's the same.
The same stadium. But the Philadelphia Phillies uniform wasn't as good as St. Louis Cardinals. So I was already trying. This picture, I got locked into the bullpen during the national anthem. That was the only reason I took this. So I couldn't, they wouldn't release me. So.
No, but you were chasing after that picture. And this is an interesting part of like, Do you have a finalized vision? Do you have a vision of what you're trying to get before you actually like execute it, or it just comes in the moment?
Well, some things you plan in advance, and some take place in the moment. I mean, this was, a moment, as was the previous picture. Uh, this was planned. You go to Carl Lewis, the portrait.
Mm-hmm.
This was very planned. I mean, and Carl always had that fantastic hair, the crown of hair. I mean, he was a great sprinter. We did it many times. He wouldn't show up on time most of the time. But he was a fantastic person to work with because he looked so good and he has this beautiful form.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't plan out. I mean, I was at a location, and you always play with light. So I went to a wall and just got this edge of light. I mean, these are things that happen. You always adapt where you're shooting. I think that's part of what makes a photographer good is you have to constantly adapt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You have to be able to. You have to be able to make something great out of the conditions that you have in the moment, right?
Yeah, well, it can't always be great, but you always got to play with the light and the time you have with the person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is why they hire you in the end.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
One thing I would like to know: what are some artists or art movements that have inspired you through your career?
Well, obviously, they're wonderful painters and composers. I mean, art and music are the two most important things to me. I mean, I can't live without music. I sometimes think I can live without photography, but not music. I know it may sound strange.
It does sound a little bit.
Well, part of my background, my old man was a very good musician. His father was a musician. I was around a lot of musicians, and I photographed a lot of musicians in New York City for about 4 years, a lot of singers. So it's just, and by the way, music and sport are almost intertwined. You see players, everyone walks out with their headphones on now. So, it's like, and it's a beat. Music is a tempo and a beat, as does sport. So they coexist.
So you would say you're more likely to live without photography than without music?
It's a tough call. I couldn't make a living without photography.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I like to do best anyway.
One thing that amazes me, it's like how your pieces they often feel like a time travel, right? So I would like to ask you, where do you see your work going in the future?
Well, that's a good question. I think NFTs are obviously a part of my future and work that someone hadn't thought of. I mean, first time I read about it was like in March. But it's a way to share your work, and it's people see your work who have never seen your work before. I mean, it opens up a whole new world. I mean, the magazine business is not very good. So where do you see pictures or photographs outside of galleries or a space like the NFTs?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it's opening up a whole new world, and it's a wonderful way to share your work.
I mean, if there's someone who it makes sense to have the pieces eternalized, it's for sure you, man, because this aspect of the past, the evolution of sports, and one of the most iconic representations of the greatest achievers on their fields, and to finally have it on the blockchain, right, to live it just makes sense. And looking through, this is a drop that you made, and we have here the drop that is to come, right?
Yes.
Tomorrow.
I mean, these are, you talk about favorite athletes and favorite images of the people I've shot in my entire career. This is a pretty good cross section right here. I mean, all Hall of Famers, all great athletes. I mean, the two faces of Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, is it two negatives I put together because he had such personality traits, Shaquille. And he was, one of the great posers. I mean, obviously a gigantic person. You look at this and you think Shaquille's normal. I mean, Shaquille is like 370 pounds. It's like 21 foot or something. But an excellent subject to photograph. And then, of course, we have Michael Jordan here. What as Michael said, was the luckiest picture I ever took.
Oh, why is that?
Well, this wasn't a mistake. It was an accident when I was shooting 4x5-inch Polaroids, and I double exposed the image. And then when I pulled out and looked at it, I said, "This is pretty good. Let me try it again." He just said, "You'll never do this again. You're just so lucky." And I tried it again. It was horrible. I mean, sometimes you need a break. This is one of them.
So wait, this is not edited.
No, this is the way the negative looks. It was just a miracle double exposure.
Oh my God.
If you look where the shadow is by his eye, if the shadow is his eye, it's terrible. Then he's got the number 5. You can see the earring. And everyone always is curious, what does the number 5 mean? Well, the number 5 was how many championships he had won at that point in his career in 1998. And then he won his 6th and final championship later that year.
This is crazy because there were so many ways for this to go wrong, but you got this beautiful thing. It looks so purposeful.
Well, we can lie to everyone. We can tell everybody it was the way I planned it.
Wow.
Yeah. And then LeBron, I mean, you talk about, all these players are all Hall of Famers. LeBron, Kevin Garnett, Kobe Bryant. I mean, this was taken at a Sprite shoot. Huh?
How is that?
Nike. Oh, excuse me. This was a Nike shoot.
Mm-hmm.
And they rented the entire arena. And I wasn't allowed at this point to talk directly to LeBron. So he had a person who would stand next to him, and I would tell him, "LeBron, go left." And the guy standing next to him would say, "Go left, LeBron."
No way. Are you kidding me? Seriously?
But see, I can't abide by these rules, where I wasn't allowed to talk to him. If we're going to do a dunk series, at some point you need to talk this out. And so what I did was took all his best dunks up to this point and narrowed it down to like 3, which would work best for the picture. And I showed LeBron. I said, "Which one of these do you want to do?" So this was the one we created.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was in a cherry picker, and there was music blasting, you couldn't hear anything. And as soon as I looked through the back of my camera and saw this, I lowered the cherry picker down. We looked at it, done. That was the end of the dunks. It was perfect.
You just had to talk with him.
You have to talk to people.
Of course.
Of course you do.
And Result is amazing.
Well, in the Michael Jordan picture, this was taken after a practice in 1993 when we were working on the book Rare. So this background, I just had an assistant hold a whiteboard up behind a piece of foam core, 4x8 foot piece of foam core to create the background. and Michael just shot free throws. So it's one of these ideas because Michael's hands are so beautiful,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where that idea came from. Otherwise, it was a terrible background.
And I think the craziest one in the set is this one here.
Kevin Garnett?
This is an insane picture, man.
Well, you know, one of the reasons, well, there are a lot of
black and white.
Well, one of the reasons it's so interesting, first of all, Kevin Garnett made it good. As I've always said, it may have been the single best day of photography I've ever had in my life. It was 1999 with him. I mean, this was in a small studio with a strobe laid on the ground with a very contrasty film that doesn't exist any longer.
Oh, okay.
With every leap he took, it was perfect. But this one, the shadow. I've tried this again, and it's one of these things, you know, because of the room and the film, it's very hard to recreate a picture. You can try, but it's never quite the same.
He looks like metal.
It looks like he's a bronze sculpture or something.
Yeah, exactly. That's insane. Look at his arms. It looks like iron. I don't know. It's insane.
That's why he's a world-class player. 6'11", big man.
6'11".
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's a lot of people. That's a lot of person.
That's a lot of person. That's definitely a lot of person. So that's a beautiful selection you have here for your next drop.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of my favorites right there.
I'm gonna make sure to be posting this for the community to check out as well. Here are the links. So Matt, what are your thoughts on the NFT and crypto art space? And honestly, like, photography is just coming in, right? But when I see your pieces, as I was saying earlier, it makes total sense to me that this be immortalized. How's your journey in the NFT space been?
Well, I mean, it's been very exciting. I mean, it's like a new world. Obviously, it's opened up to me and my photography. So, you know what? I mean, more people are going to see my work now, I think, than maybe could be ever. I mean, it's just. I mean, who's seen these pictures in the last 20 years or 30 years? So I think it's important for everyone that's involved in it to create a new audience and create a new world. Even for me to go back through all these images and to see them again like this, it's very special.
There's a lot of memories, right? I mean,
oh yeah.
How do you know how many pictures you took? Like, not the grand total, but the number you could call finalized ones.
I've never even come close to trying to figure that number out. I mean, I used to shoot a lot of film. I mean, the older I got, the less I shot, actually, because you sort of narrow things down in your head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything. You look at these pictures; these are all thought out in some ways in advance. I mean, the Michael in the layup. This is one strobe. This is, you know, I lit this once again. And then, yeah, that's all lit.
Mm-hmm.
Then you go to the Ken Griffey Jr., the baseball shot. Well, in that stadium, you could go into the roof and there was rafters you could walk around. So I could get this perfect alignment with the baseball.
Oh, that's how you did it.
Yeah, so you're always looking. You know, wherever, and it was a terrible stadium other than this picture. So it was indoors with green light. So we went black and white. But you're always looking for an angle or a background or composition.
Well, yeah. So when you put it this way, this is the thing that, because the photographer has to be mindful of like perspectives and angles and stuff. How do you turn that part of your brain off? Like if you don't have your camera with you, don't you feel like you missed something sometimes?
The camera's never off in your head. I mean, you always see pictures, you know. I mean, I always see backgrounds, whatever I do. I mean, just walk around the street. You know,
Hmm.
it's a part of your existence. It's like my father once told me. He said, "Do you hear that beat? We're in the streets of New York. I hear what?" Because he heard music everywhere. You know, you could just hear a tempo.
Hmm.
So I see all the time. I always look for backgrounds and light. I mean, that's just part of my nature. It's basically my whole life has been doing that.
Yeah, it's basic. It's basic like a musician. Can't turn that musician brain off.
Can't turn it off. It's okay. But by the way, Ken Griffey Jr. does not like this picture
Why not?
because if you look at the ball on the bat, he's popping it up, which is means he's not getting a hit. He always said, "I hate this picture, Walter. Look at the ball."
Because of the position of the ball. It's not a perfect shot for him, right? Yeah,
No,
it's not a perfect thing.
No, it's not the first athlete that didn't like the picture that I've taken. I love, so it's okay. We can agree to disagree.
Yeah, of course. I mean, what can he really do?
Not much now.
Oh yeah, I mean, how long would you guys have been there if it were for you to capture the exact moment and for him to hit the perfect one?
Never. I mean, you just look at the alignment of the bat.
Yeah.
Everything's aligned perfectly.
Hmm. Yeah, even the guy in here, like it. Yeah, this is insane. The alignment, it doesn't happen again.
No.
Hmm.
No, none of these pictures happen twice.
Let's take a look at a few more from this other drop here because you have some different stuff. Oh, I love this.
Okay, Michael Phelps. So the reason this picture is unique, I was sent to do Michael Phelps for a magazine that doesn't exist any longer, somewhere outside of Baltimore. And when I got there, the pool was empty. So like, what? Hold it. I'm photographing the greatest swimmer in the world, and the pool was empty. They said you could go indoors, which was a horrible spot. But the beauty was, since there was no water in the pool, I could go down to an angle that no one ever saw before. You know, like
Right.
down and shoot straight up, put the sun behind them, and bingo.
That's genius.
Thank God they took the water out of the pool.
You must have, when you got there, it must have been a nightmare.
I was a little surprised. But that's why you're always adapting, because there's always something amiss.
Yeah, I love how you didn't let go of like the blue, of the water. You got it from the sky.
No, good point. You'd be diving into the sky.
Exactly. That's so smart. I can't believe it. You got in the pool, there's no water, you used it. That's amazing.
Yeah. No pool.
Oh, what is this one?
Well, this is one of my favorite photographs for many reasons. First, it's in my favorite city, New York City. She was just an exquisite, beautiful ice skater, Michelle Kwan. So I went to a rooftop somewhere in the 40s, the West 40s of New York City. Created a little platform on the roof again and put black plexiglass for her to skate on, stand on. And with one strobe on a smoggy day in New York, took this picture. I love this picture.
Look like she's doing it on the sky.
And you can see two of the most famous buildings in New York City, the Empire State and the Chrysler Building behind it.
Their expression is so serene. It's amazing. Yeah, no, man. We could keep going forever on the pictures. I feel like, at least for me, it enriches the pictures so much to be able to hear the story behind them. So I really appreciate the opportunity. You know what I mean? Like, they're beautiful by themselves, but then when you get to know how they happen, they get so much better.
I thank you. I listen. I agree. You can listen to people talk about what they've done. It opens up a whole world of how it happened, why it happened, and how you got there.
Yeah, no, I love the fact that everything comes together, and you spent so much time chasing after, like, the greatest of all time on their own categories, and then you managed to yourself become probably the greatest sports photographer ever.
Oh.
And I mean, yeah, you outperform in a category as they did. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank
you. So, if you don't mind, I would love to get a few community questions going on here as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Someone would like to know, what recommendations would you give to those who want to start in the world of sports photography?
What would I recommend?
Yes.
Well, I think you have to start with people near you. You know, there's sports everywhere in the world. I mean, basically, that's why I started doing photographing the kids where I grew up. Until you get jobs. I mean, it's how you get good at it. Photography business is a difficult business right now, but there's still sport everywhere. I mean, my God, you can't live without sport. So there's still a lot of room to take great pictures. I think you just have to, keep your eye open all the time.
There you go. Another one. People often talk about an aura of the great ones. When you were experiencing some of those historic, iconic sports moments in real time, did any give you inclination that you were actually witnessing history or in presence of the greatest of all time at the time that you took them?
I would say probably no, because you didn't see these images. I mean, you didn't see the slam dunk. You didn't know this was going to grow, that Michael Jordan was going to grow into this mythical character. Another football game I was at, which became The Catch. I didn't even know this was going to be a famous game. I was following there it is up there on the top left. I was following the other team. This was the worst thing that could have happened to me. The Catch. But now it's the most famous football picture in history. I had to go in the locker room with these Dallas Cowboys in the white uniforms.
Oh my God.
I mean, see, you just don't know. It's a good question. I don't think I've ever really felt an historical moment taking place that I can think of.
But you capture so many of them.
Well, they all happen quickly. These images need to grow on you also. With the Polaroids, there were times within a minute I knew I had taken something special. Mm-hmm. We could go to a picture of the football player with the hood on. Terrell Owens. This one.
Okay.
So, I mean, this to me is as good a portrait as I've ever taken. And you look at the background, it's like a Renaissance painting.
Yeah, right.
Whole miserable day with the Polaroid. So you had to keep the Polaroid, the 8x10 Polaroid, heated. We had to have a hair heater.
Oh, is that so?
Well, because they wouldn't process if it was too cold out. Mm-hmm. This guy sat for maybe 3 Polaroids. Wasn't my favorite guy, but you just look at the tonality of his face and the light. I mean, as soon as you pull that Polaroid down, you knew you had a good picture.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That was the beauty of the Polaroid and the interchange between you and the athlete when you would see what took place outside of the double exposure of Michael.
Yeah, do you still use the Polaroid?
This is Polaroid. No, the other was film. The
This is film.
sketch, yeah, this was,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I shot this on a Sunday and I went somewhere else. This was shot in San Francisco. And then the next week it was on the cover of Sports Illustrated. And who knew?
No, but that was a great question. Thank you for the community for that one.
It was a good one.
What would be some of your favorite candidate shots captured of an iconic athlete outside of participating / depicting their own sport?
Let's go down to, well, I mean, this number 88. I mean, this is a football team in St. Louis, and they had great pass receivers. So I went there because I love pass receivers to photograph these guys with a strobe, and I had a coach toss a ball underhand. And one player would just dive over it, and the next one would dive over it, and the next one would dive over it. And, I mean, he's not like a Michael Jordan fame, but he was a great player in his day.
Mm-hmm.
Big play, Torrey Holt. It's Torrey Holt, right? The big play.
So what do you prefer? Do you prefer black and white or do you prefer color? Personally.
I can't say I prefer one over the other because most of my life I've shot color. I think color is more difficult to shoot than black and white because you have a lot more variables. Your eye going between colors. Black and white basically narrows down to the picture more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can convert all these, and I don't know. I mean, color is what I was sent to do all the time. Then he became interested in black and white, and I think black and white is, simplifies everything.
That's interesting. So someone would like to know, this is a bit of more technical. What film did you use for the slam dunk Michael Jordan 88?
It was 2 1/4 square. I'm sure it was a Fuji Chrome. 1988, yeah. Fuji Chrome, probably. It was a chrome too. This was not a negative film. This was a chrome. Taken on a Hasselblad with super wide angle lens.
How do you remember the equipment you were using, man?
Well, maybe I have a photographic memory for that. I know what every picture was taken, but if I don't know that, who the hell's not going to know it? I mean, this is part of what you do. I can tell you what lens. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. Maybe not exactly what every lens was, but I still have all my cameras that I use basically for most of my career, from the first camera until now.
All right, next one. No, thank you for the information. If anyone is looking to reproduce this one, good luck. Now you know which camera was used. Did you ever got in an accident while making a great shot?
Close. I mean, football sidelines. I've seen photographers, pro football in the States, get carried off the field by getting hit by the players. I mean, one guy right next to me, No, I've come close, but I've never been seriously damaged by a ball or a player. Somehow I escaped.
Lucky then.
Yeah, I would say so, but you don't want to get hit by some of these football players.
Oh, I mean, it's so close to this like 6'11" people, and
I
get trampled.
I can remember the guy getting taken out. He was like inches from me.
Dude, that's
The play was going on the opposite side of the field, and no one saw what happened there.
On the other hand, have you had pictures or moments that you failed to capture and you wish you could?
I'm sure. I mean, I know there's. I mean, there are events you might have liked to go to, but no, I don't feel I really missed out on anything. You know, I had plenty of opportunities there. Kobe. I mean, let's go up there at Kobe in the room up here at the Plaza Hotel.
This one?
Yeah. So I was following the Lakers. And so, you know, it doesn't look like that glamorous a life right does it now.
Mm-hmm.
Pizza from 7th Avenue. He's locked up in his room in the plaza. He can't go anywhere. Got his New York Police Department hat on. Being a ball player is very isolating sometimes. But it was hard to take a bad picture of Kobe. Just, you know, he always looked good.
This picture has a very different vibe than most of your pictures. This is very, I don't know. I think it's exactly the contrast of like what you would think as glamorous that makes this picture unique and great.
When he's on the court, it's glamorous.
Yeah.
The pizza was pretty good though.
You had his slice down.
Yeah. Well, I love pizza.
This Fanta here is yours, then I'm gonna assume.
I don't know. I'm not a big soda fan. I don't know. All those.
I think you cut there. Can you hear me, Walter? A little bit of a technical difficulty. I think he cut off. But yeah, I mean, while we wait for him to come back, there's plenty of good stuff for us to take a look at. Oh, I haven't asked about box yet.
Boxing.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's go.
Well,
Muhammad Ali, come on.
Oh, all right. So I was only ringside at one Ali fight. And at this point, he was still known as Cassius Clay. He had just changed his name to Muhammad Ali.
Mm-hmm.
And Terrell, his opponent here, refused to address him as Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
Yes. And Ali kept saying through the whole fight when he whooped him, "What's my name?"
No way.
His name is "What's my name?" fight. Yeah. Call me by my right name. The Astrodome in Houston, Texas.
And you tell me that there was no way of telling that was an historic moment.
What it was, but I wasn't so sure. I mean, Ali, didn't become Ali at that point yet. There were so many things that followed this, his name and joining the Muslim community, then not going, and being drafted and not going to war, which was fine with me. So, they took away, the government basically took away the best years of his career. Let's go to the green boxing picture up there. That one.
Mm-hmm.
This is Bernard Hopkins. This was my first real digital shoot. An enormous change for me. Shot in Philadelphia. and we had lights. I lit it all green, and we had a camera grip guy because I was having lighting problems. You can see in his eyes, he held a little reflector down because all my strobes were directly above him.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as that happened, I made the picture. These were all his people in his gym, all his friends behind him.
Uh-huh. No, dude, and the lighting on this one is amazing.
That's the first digital shoot.
Wait, this is your first digital shoot?
Yes, that's it. That was quite an undertaking for me.
Well, why is that?
Well, I was used to film. I understood what film would give me. And it's now, I mean, it's another world. But this was it.
But
It changed for me, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2000. I've been in the business already for like 40 years shooting film at this point.
Yeah. But didn't you enjoy? Were you more scared of it? Were you more like trying to experiment with it, trying to learn it? How was it?
Well, I was experimenting on this shoot. I never really used it before. And people started to hire you. And once you went to digital, it's like, why would anyone assign you a year after this or 2 years after to shoot film?
Mm-hmm.
No, it was the end of film. Even though film has made a comeback.
What are you, as of right now, what are you using?
Strictly digital.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Listen, I love seeing the image on the back of your camera. I mean, I think it helps you as a photographer to see what you're doing if you don't know on.
No, I mean, I think plenty of people like are scared of change, but then like you get something like this is a good example of you embracing it and like such great results that you brought, right?
Well, change is difficult, but you know, you have to live with change all the time.
You want a little bit more boxing?
Well, all right. So this is when we brought Muhammad Ali with his mustache to Joe's gym in Philadelphia. So the robe Joe is wearing, the green robe, that ugly green robe, is from the Thriller in Manila. That's the robe he wore. And we got a robe for Ali that would be the same type of robe as he wore in the Thriller in Manila.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way this shoot was going to take place was if Ali came to Joe's gym in Philly. Because Ali had said a lot of things about Joe Frazier that weren't so pleasant.
Mm-hmm.
But when they got together, you know, it was just, it's the only time they've ever posed together. And there's one moment in Philadelphia.
Oh, seriously?
Yes. This is it.
Oh my God.
And we tried to get him to shave that mustache off. I would talk to his wife. He loves that mustache. He's not taking it off. And people ask, why has he got that mustache? That wasn't my idea.
You guys tried to get rid of the mustache?
We tried to have him shave it, but he wouldn't shave it. We tried. Now it looks normal to me.
I guess.
Yeah. Kiss and say goodbye.
You managed to get them to pose together. That's amazing. All right, let's see a few things that we haven't covered. Oh, this one here. This one here is crazy. How do you do this?
Well, I'm glad you brought this up because this is another photograph of an athlete that didn't like the picture, which I still think it's one of the best pictures I've ever taken.
How does he not like it?
I remember when I got the chromes back from this shoot. It was in 1983 or 84, and put them on the light box. And this is Greg Louganis. Of course, he's not diving upwards. So I flipped the slide made it go up vertically up.
Mhm.
So this was slow shutter speed. Could have been a 30th or a 15th of a second. Someone once counted the lights. Whatever that flash is the shutter speed.
Oh, okay.
And so behind me was the sunset. He was coming off a high diving board, a platform. So these were the lights. Those 3 streaks were the lights that illuminated the pool that distributed dust. So these flames were just a mixture of blur from a setting sun. And he would only dive so many times because you can look at his hands. His hands, he's opening a hole in the water.
Yes.
It doesn't hit the water. He can only do it so many times because his arms and hands would ache from the diving. So when I went back to shoot him again, I showed him this picture. I said, great, it's a perfect picture. He goes, I handed him the print. He goes, I'm bent. Look at his body. It's not perfectly straight.
It's not perfectly straight, yeah.
I'm bent. That's it. He didn't like it.
That was his conclusion, but man, this picture is unreal.
Not to him. He only saw his form. Well, look at the. I mean, look at his muscle.
I know, but everything about this picture is insane because when you look at something like this, you would first instinct you assume it's all edited, right?
There's nothing edited about it.
Exactly, and so when you tell me, "Oh no, this is the slice of reality that I managed to capture," like it's mind blowing, and he didn't like it.
I mean, that may be the only time I really remember putting a slide on a light box and just like, my God.
It's actually a little bit scary. How does something like this happen? This is amazing.
I don't know.
You couldn't. This is one that you couldn't chase after, right? You couldn't try to do this.
No, none. The previous. I mean, he only dove like 3 times. This is one frame.
Even the light. Oh my God! Wow. And he didn't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we could keep going forever, but I do have one last question.
Yes.
I love to ask. It's the hardest one. It's fine if you can answer, but if you had to choose only one photography, what's your personal favorite?
One photograph?
Yes.
Maybe Michael Jordan's Blue Dunk.
It's the dunk.
The Blue Dunk. Where's the Blue Dunk?
Let's find it.
There it is.
This here?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh. All right. Let's talk about it.
Well, this was my first shoot with Jordan. This is 1987. I was sent to a town outside of Chicago where he had a children's camp. And I had this idea to shoot him from above. And so I painted, or I didn't exactly, my assistants painted this parking lot, one blue and one red, because I didn't know what color uniform he was going to show up with.
Mm-hmm.
This is a basket. There were no baskets in Chicago. This is a real NBA basket because you can't create this picture with a stationary basket. So you have a basket that you can move so you can get the shadow.
Uh-huh.
And lower it. So I got this basket from St. Louis, a long trip, but money wasn't an issue.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a cherry picker to get above Michael, and a camera that took 14 frames a second, and Michael showed up in his red uniform. So we went to the blue court. So this is all planned, and then it has to be between what? 1 hour in a day, maybe?
Mm-hmm.
So the shadow's not too elongated or too close to it. And
because of the nature of the shadow.
yes, the shadow.
Oh my
It's not
god, it
unknown.
would have been different if there was less or more time.
Yeah. You take the shadow out of this, it's nothing.
Uh-huh.
No.
Wow.
So this to me sort of combines, all the things I've done in my career of thinking of something, planning it, and then having the right athlete to get the job done.
Oh, he definitely got the job done. This is amazing. I love everything about this one. The contrast and the shadow. This is crazy now that you said it.
Yeah. And it's his left arm with his fingers out and the fingers in the shadow. I mean, it becomes, you create another dimension.
Yes, exactly.
It's
I
like
was so gonna say.
2D, not 3D.
Wow. Yeah. Just to be able in one picture and you can see something from two different perspectives at the same time. And that's insane.
So that's
Well,
my favorite.
I think you picked. I mean, it's so many of them are good that I thought it would be more difficult, but now that you explain it, I can see why.
It's a combination of issues that
Mhm.
I like about it.
Well, Walter, as I said, we honestly could be here for such a long time, considering you have so many amazing things. Oh my God, we didn't even went over golf, but I am sure that you're in for the long haul. I'm
Yes,
sure there will be more drops to talk about in the future. I'm going to make sure to be posting all the links for everyone to check out. It's tomorrow. Do not miss out. This is historical drop here with historical pieces. Dude, look at this. Look at this. It speaks for itself. But yeah, thank you so very much for joining us,
Gian,
man.
thank you so much.
And I hope we have new opportunities in the future.
I hope to talk to you soon. Yeah.
Oh,
Thanks.
yeah. Oh, my God. Thank you, man, for the opportunity, really. And thank you, everyone in the community, for taking the time to be here with us. I really hope you guys support and go take a look at the drop as of tomorrow. I will be posting all the links. Thank you all for being here and have a nice day. Go eat some nice food, get some rest. Bye bye, everyone.
Adios.